All right. What's up, guys? So, I want to go over a few things, my thoughts about Tarisland here. We're on day 5 of the launch. I believe tomorrow, day 6, will be the last day. That's when level 40 will be available and the end game will be available. So, I can't speak on the end game, but there are plenty of things that I've you know, picked up on and I just want to share. So let's dive in here. First of all, I have played quite a few different characters up to a certain level. And while doing that, it was quite an experience. So early on, for most classes, if not all, until about level 15 to 16, you really just there's so much else going on in the game and so little going on with your class that you don't have much of an idea of how your class is going to play like whatsoever. And it you will be using the buttons that you start the game with, but they do change, and understanding your rotation in different situations that like dungeons or bosses or PvP are going to put you in is quite a bit different than what you see while questing. So, just want to make you aware of all of that. But I eventually, as I got leveled up, it became better. And so, at the beginning, I would say it's kind of like a con. It's kind of a thumbs down for me in terms of the early game and how it felt to play. Now, like the kind of the progression of the story and such, that didn't bother me, and how quick you leveled, that wasn't horrible. But it was just the class expression. You also can there's only like 50% of the specializations available at the when you make a character, and all the other specializations you can't play. So it kind of makes sense for like tanks and heals. However, some of the damage specs, it does kind of suck that you can't play them until you get to a certain level. So that also is kind of like eh. But overall, it becomes better, and the complexity of each specialization, each class is going to increase quite a bit once you get up to higher levels. So bear with it early on. Another thing, kind of like the dungeons and the bosses that like are in the dungeons, and like the raid is just one specific boss with like a couple trash. But I think they're great. I wouldn't put them. I wouldn't put them on the difficulty level of like World of Warcraft's Mythic Plus dungeons or anything like that. But I think that they provide provide the level of challenge that maybe a like early expansion heroic might, or like a early expansion Mythic Zero, perhaps. Maybe not quite that challenging. They're still pretty dang easy. It's a pretty easy game, but it didn't feel too terribly like a cakewalk. I have wiped plenty of times because someone messed up a mechanic, and I like to see that. I like that there is like some threat to the game. I've also died while playing, or just questing and stuff, so it can happen. Um, and then just I mean, some of the things that I didn't really care for about the game. I'll log in here once we get in. So there's a lot of it's a monetization, like pretty heavily monetized. And so take that as you will. But because of it, it seems like there's a lot of systems or interfaces that are designed to give you all of these, different rewards, daily achievement. It's all sorts of things, and it's a bit overwhelming, I would say. Uh, at this point, I have an understanding of how it works a few days into it, but early on, it was a bit overwhelming, and I would consider it kind of a con to the game, thumbs down rather. And so, and then yeah, I guess because of in the same sense, you get a ton of rewards, right? And maybe it's the fact that it's through interfaces that don't necessarily feel like I'm talking to this individual quest giver, but rather I'm getting so many resources and rewards from just clicking this right here or something. It would pop up, and then it would just allow me to collect it. So it seems like too many rewards sometimes. Now, as far as like armor, weapons, things like that, I like that system, I think, but I'm not sure that I really care for all the extra rewards the way that they've done it. It's just a bit overwhelming. It's not the worst, but a bit overwhelming. And so that being said, there's a I said I liked the gearing system. I at the moment I like the gearing system. It seems to become a bit more complex as we get to max level, which I think that's a good thing as well. As long as it doesn't get too complicated. I know games like this that I've played, um, like what's gosh, I can't even think of it. Regardless, they they become too complicated in how to like upgrade this and upgrade that, and especially early on, once you get to like I think it's like 16 or something, they start introducing you to like the inscribed stones here, and it can feel a little daunting, a little bit like, whoa, what is all this stuff you're giving to me? But they still only allow you to access it like slowly. You know, you get a couple points, so you can figure out as you go. I'm level 34 at the moment. I've made it this far through the tree. It kind of makes sense. So it's not horrible. But I'm just not sure how I feel about it entirely until we get to the end game and I can see how it fully pans out. And it's kind of the same thing for professions. They seem okay so far. Gathering is like gathering's kind of streamlined. It's not run around the world randomly to, to the most like some extent. But you'll go to a spot, that's where you get that specific material. You need the other specific material, you run to this spot. And so it's a little bit more streamlined, which I think that's okay considering this is a mobile game. But I'm just curious to see how it pans out at max level. Right now, I'm unsure about it. So, but yeah, that's kind of really all I have at the moment for the game. I guess one other thing I did want to touch on. I read a couple of reviews that said that the game is kind of like clunky or janky in terms of movement. I personally have not felt that. I believe that it is fairly polished in terms of its the technicals and like how you move and interact in the game. In boss fights, things like that, all the spells work instantly. They work well. If you know if you jump, it interrupts certain spells or something like that. That works like instantly. So to me, I think the movement is actually a bonus, like a thumbs up in this case. It's a good thing. I think they've really worked on the game for a while and gotten it to a better place than a lot of games that come out, like New World, for instance. Like New World was gorgeous, but it had so many odd, quirky, out of place, weird bugs, and this game doesn't seem to have all of those issues. So that's a thumbs up for me. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I wanted to say today. If you disagree with me or agree with me, or if you're still unsure about playing the game, um, you know, all of that, let me know in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks.